A while back, I made a video about a near homeless single mom who owes $80,000 to the IRS, can't afford to pay it. What are her options? I just kind of candidly shared my thoughts if this individual had come to us as a client here at Choice Tax Relief. On that video, Sammy OC Girl 7411 says, wow, she owed 80K. How can someone owe that much and not pay? And it's a good question. It's a fair question, right? Because especially if you're coming to this from the perspective of, wow, if she owed the IRS $80,000, let's say there's 30 grand of penalties and interest in there. She owed about 50 grand. That must be a lot of income that she didn't pay taxes on, right? Where'd all that money go? How do you owe that much money and not pay? And Sammy O'Seeger, let me tell you, we've had cases here at Choice Tax Relief where people didn't just owe 80 grand. They owed like 800 grand and they couldn't pay. 8 million? I don't think we've had an 8 million case, but we've had multiple 7-figure cases where someone couldn't afford to pay. Okay. It does happen. And in this video, I'm just going to share kind of 3, and this is not exhaustive, but 3 scenarios that we often see where people somehow have a lot of tax debt to their name that they can't afford to pay. First one is we see this often in the case of a divorce. Okay. Perhaps a couple have filed jointly for years, and then they get divorced, right? Both spouses are on the hook for that tax debt. Okay. But maybe as a result of the divorce, one or both of the parties is now kind of in financial ruin, or so it seems, and they can't afford to pay back that tax debt that still haunts them from their married years. So that's one common thing we see. Second scenario we often see where people owe a lot of money to the IRS. It's like, how do you owe this much? But you can't afford to pay. Where'd all the money go? Is a failed business. Okay. So a business that was doing very well for a period of time, during which time the owner did not pay the appropriate taxes for the business. And then the business started struggling. And the owner borrowed a ton of money and maybe, sold some of his own assets to keep the business afloat. And eventually it didn't work and the business was shut down. Okay. So at this point you have an owner who expended most, if not all, of his or her personal resources to keep the business going. It didn't, but because they didn't pay their taxes during the good years for the business, they still have all this tax debt and they don't have the ability to pay it, right? We also, that's kind of a common thing that we see as well. Another kind of somewhat related to that is we see this in the world of investing when individuals, young guys, they're usually young men, who make a lot of money, let's say, making very aggressive trades in crypto, often using borrowed money. Okay, so they're leveraged. And, when crypto's going, hockey stick up, they're making a ton of money. It's raining money, and they don't really take any profits out. They just keep reinvesting and they're not content with the 10 grand they made. They want to make 50. They're not content with the 50. They want to make 100. They want to make a million. They want to blah, 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 and so on and so forth. Oh, but then in one day, right, the crypto market loses $500 billion in market cap. Market cap obviously being a stock market term, but you get what I mean. And their positions are liquidated by wherever they were leveraged at, these exchanges, and they're completely wiped out. But because they had so many recognized gains in the previous year, during the good year, they have that huge tax debt from the previous year, but then they got wiped out, right, in the current year. We see this as well, and this is I'll categorize in the same category, with people who get scammed, and it's so unfortunate. As a matter of fact, I'm not too into the generational categorizing thing. I mean, I'm Gen Z. I'm a millennial, I think. But this journalist wanted experts to share the one investment boomers shouldn't be making in 2026. And I responded to this. This went out this past August 2025. Respond this was something that I see a lot. And yeah, we have seen it with younger folks, but we've seen it a lot with boomers. And maybe why the boomer cases stuck in my mind is because the dollar amount was so much more, Okay. So, the title of this article was, the one investment boomers should be making in 2026. My thing was, look, from what I've seen, if people approach you online, this doesn't just apply to boomers, this applies to everybody. If someone approaches you online about a cryptocurrency investment or scheme that sounds too good to be true, right? They're probably lying to you and trying to scam you. Here's what I said. We're talking about people who did everything right, accumulated $1 million or $2 million as a nest egg, and should be enjoying life, but instead they lost financially due to a cryptocurrency scam. People often hear about these by someone they meet online who gains their trust and abuses it. On top of this insult, unless they happen to have been fully invested in like a Roth, they're stuck with a tax bill on the liquidation of their retirement accounts. Okay, so I said if there's any investment that boomers should be making in 2026, it's any cryptocurrency investment recommendation from somebody they met online. And they kind of paraphrase me here, right? Obviously, I think you can learn about crypto from people online. But what I'm talking about here is someone who specifically targets you out, like targets you and really tries to gain your trust, okay, so that you can invest money with them in some crypto scheme. And like I said here, the result is, to add insult to injury or injury to injury, we've had clients who, and these are often people in their 60s, 70s, who liquidate their nest egg. They drain their IRAs, right? They're draining everything. They have a huge tax, and they don't pay taxes. They don't think they pay taxes on their IRA distributions or whatever account we're talking about. And they invest in this cryptocurrency scheme, and they're scammed out of everything. The scammers often overseas. They report to the FBI. The FBI says, chance of getting the money back is very slim because it's crypto and they're overseas and who knows who they are, and they use a pseudonym. So they've lost everything, but then they still have this huge tax bill on the IRA distribution, right? Very sad. Very sad. Matter of fact, last year we did an audit representation for a taxpayer who lost $700,000. This is an older taxpayer who lost $700,000 that they withdrew from their retirement accounts and had to pay tax on it, right, to invest in what's called a pig butchering scam, right? And it's kind of like, a pig butcher, he wants to fatten up his pigs so that he can go slaughter them. Same thing. Friendly guy online, started talking to these people. They kind of had like an online relationship. He said, hey, I know how you can make a lot of money. Okay, how? Send me a bunch of Bitcoin and I'll invest it and then I'll give you your returns. Well, no. That's exactly what I'm talking about when I they paraphrase me what I said. So there's any investment boomers should be making 2026. There's any cryptocurrency investment recommendation from somebody they met online. And I'm not talking, I think a lot of them are scammers as well who are just kind of pump and dump. But yeah, sure, there's theoretically reputable crypto influencers. And if they're scamming you, it's not as direct. I'm talking about someone who's sought you out for an interpersonal relationship for the point of extracting money from you so they can invest it in crypto. Stay away. Stay far away. Anyway, I kind of got off track there, but yeah, those are, Sammy O'Seagull, those are, and thank you so much for your support of the channel. I see your comments a lot. Those are just a few ways that someone could owe a lot of money to the IRS and then not be able to pay it, right? So, hope that's helpful to you. Hope that's helpful to others who might be wondering the same thing, because, man, crazy stuff happens in life. Crazy stuff happens. Folks, if you owe the IRS or your state at least $10,000 in back taxes, or you have multiple years of unfiled tax returns, you qualify for a free consultation with us here at Choice Tax Relief. You can give us a call, 866-8000-TAX. That's 866-8000-829. Or you can go to choicetaxrelief.com, fill out the form on the website. We will reach out to you. I have some other videos here on the left-hand side of the screen about tax relief options. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.